Catherine O'Hara, a comedic icon who brought laughter, grace, and heart to the world, has away at the age of 71. The news of 71-year-old Catherine O'Hara's death feels more like a silent pause shared by generations than a headline. Her presence had been a constant for decades, steady, familiar, and incredibly reassuring rather than loud or overwhelming. Her brilliance felt effortless even when it was skillfully performed, and she was the type of performer who never sought attention but always commanded it. Her passing signifies the end of an incredible period in comedy, film, and television, as well as the passing of a performer whose impact will last long after the cheers have subsided. Some artists make their absence seem loud as soon as they're gone. Then there are some whose absence comes silently, like a chair in a familiar room that is abruptly vacant, leaving behind a silence that requires some time to comprehend. Catherine O'Hara belongs to the second kind. She was just there for decades, as a presence woven into our lives, rather than as a celebrity chasing headlines or a performer demanding center stage. Without asking permission, she made us chuckle. Without ever expressing it, she gave us a sense of being seen. What's maybe most amazing is that she never seemed to put in much effort. There was neither frenzy nor disbelief as word of her death at age 71 spread. There was more to it, a communal silence, a silent pain. At first, people took their time listing her accomplishments. Instead, they exchanged recollections, scenes, lines, expressions. There were times when her characters seemed oddly familiar, like someone we knew or perhaps even ourselves. Catherine O'Hara had a unique talent for making humor feel personal. She was able to portray a ridiculous character while maintaining their realism. She had the ability to make you laugh with a sentence that would stay in your mind long after the laughter subsided. She never had a hollow sense of humor. It carried intention, weight, and frequently an unexpected tenderness. She didn't control discussions about achievement or celebrity. She didn't loudly reinvent herself. She just kept coming up, putting in the effort, having faith in her profession and letting her skill do the talking. And it did, once more and once more. Looking back, it's evident that Catherine O'Hara wasn't limited to the history of television and films. She was a part of people's individual histories. She was present in late-night repeats, family movie evenings, childhood living rooms, and, more recently, in narratives that supported viewers in overcoming uncertainty, loneliness, and bereavement. This is more than just the tale of a deceased actress. It is the tale of a lady who left behind something far more enduring than applause, gave humor dignity, and gave laughing depth. This is a thank you, as well as a farewell. Catherine O'Hara was a foundation, not just a celebrity. In a profession frequently driven by ego and show, she developed a career founded in charity, humility, and precision. She saw comedy as a means of reflecting humanity back to itself, imperfections and all, with compassion rather than brutality. O'Hara brought knowledge and humanity to every part, whether she was playing eccentric mothers, misguided socialites, or emotionally guarded ladies learning how to love. In addition to her body of work, her dying leaves a legacy of how to be successful without losing one's spirit, witty without being nasty, and clever without being loud. A craft-based, noise-free career. The goal of Catherine O'Hara's comedic career was never to become famous. She was a student of the craft from the start. She believed in rehearsal, timing, listening, and restraint, elements that would later define her work. In her hands, comedy was about rhythm, quiet, and emotional truth rather than just punchlines. Her early years helped to mold her into a performer with a thorough understanding of ensemble work. She flourished in collaborative environments where personalities developed naturally and ideas were exchanged. Rather than dominating scenes, she uplifted those around her. Actors frequently mentioned how her very presence, attentiveness, responsiveness, and complete dedication improved everyone. She was able to create characters who felt lived in rather than performed thanks to her method. Instead of seeing Catherine O'Hara perform, viewers saw people who were imperfect, funny, occasionally annoying, and always identifiable. The uncommon capacity to be humorous and human at the same time. O'Hara stood out for her reluctance to view comedy as shallow. She realized that vulnerability, not embellishment, is frequently the source of the funniest moments. Her most bizarre personas were rooted in emotional reality. She had a talent for seeing the humanity in the ludicrous. Her comedy was driven by a mistaken feeling of confidence, an emotional blind spot, and a frantic need for approval. She understood her characters and never made fun of them. This empathy made it possible for viewers to chuckle guilt-free. We recognized ourselves, our family, and our neighbors, which made us chuckle. O'Hara put up a mirror that substituted empathy for judgment. Moira Rose, a late-career victory that changed history. Many fans will always connect Catherine O'Hara with Moira Rose, the quirky, conceited, and surprisingly kind matriarch of Schitt's Creek. Even though the position came later in her career, it seemed to be the pinnacle of what she had learned. Moira was humorously removed from reality, dramatic, and theatrical. Yet she was never empty. She was infused with layers of pride, deep-seated affection, and insecurity by O'Hara. What may have been a caricature turned become one of the most enduring personalities on television. O'Hara demonstrated that comedy might change via Moira. The character's transformation from conceit to self-awareness, from loneliness to community, reflected the show's overarching theme of development and empathy. Audiences didn't just laugh at Moira, they developed with her. Not only did O'Hara receive fresh praise and acclaim for the part, but it also brought her brilliance to a younger audience. What longtime fans already knew, that Catherine O'Hara was a master, was revealed to younger viewers. A woman who refused to let type define. Her O'Hara defied categorization despite her obvious comedic aptitude. She transitioned between big projects and more subdued, character-driven work, comedy and drama, and film and television with ease. She never relied on glitz or conceit to keep her career going. Rather, she embraced her role and let herself age organically on screen, which is still uncommon in the business. It was competence, not image, that gave her confidence. Her career was surprisingly resilient because of her refusal to fit in. Because her art was timeless, O'Hara remained relevant even though many performers fade as fads shift. After all, human activity never goes out of style. Professional integrity and off-screen. Grace Catherine O'Hara was generous, grounded, and extremely competent, according to many who worked with her. She arrived prepared, listened closely, and treated everyone, from co-stars to crew workers, with respect. She had no interest in self-promotion or celebrity culture. Interviews revealed a reflective, frequently modest woman who favored talking about the work over herself. She saw fame as a byproduct rather than an objective. This mindset encouraged loyalty and trust. Her intuition was appreciated by directors. Her interpretation was trusted by writers. Because they knew she would never divert attention from them, other performers felt comfortable sharing scenes with her. A silent impact on comedy women. Even though Catherine O'Hara never positioned herself as a spokesman, her influence on women in comedy cannot be emphasized. She demonstrated that women might be humorous without being dehumanizing, cruel, or sexualized. She demonstrated that humor and intelligence could live harmoniously. Her career suggested an alternate path, one where longevity was founded on skill rather than shock value, where complexity was embraced rather than simplified. She was frequently used as a model by younger comedians, not because she sought attention, but rather because she was an expert at what she did. She proved that being witty, eccentric, or emotionally nuanced did not need women to apologize. They might just be funny and human. The emotional burden of her death. Many people feel a personal connection to Catherine O'Hara's passing since her work helped them navigate various phases of life. She appeared on late-night television, family movies, childhood recollections, and, more recently, a program that served as a consolation during trying times. Her performances provided camaraderie in addition to entertainment. They served as a reminder to viewers that flaws were both acceptable and lovely. Her passing prompts contemplation about her career as well as what she stood for. Dependability, morality, and the strength of humor-infused kindness, a legacy that lives beyond the screen. Because Catherine O'Hara's excellence was cumulative, she does not leave behind a single defining role. It inhabited dozens of personas, each molded by concern and curiosity. It was evident in the joy she inspired and the emotional integrity she exemplified. Her influence, in the artists she encouraged, the audiences she reassured, and the standards she subtly upheld, is what defines her legacy rather than just accolades or ratings. She demonstrated that humor could be giving, that ego was not necessary for success, and that artistry flourishes when it is based on respect for both the audience and the craft. Bidding farewell without losing what she gave us. Even though Catherine O'Hara is no longer with us, her influence may still be felt. It can be found in reruns, quotations, and characters that seem like old acquaintances. It endures in the way comedy keeps developing, imparting the principles she personified without ever preaching. Her death serves as a reminder that genuine artistry endures. It deepens. It becomes ingrained in common memory. It helps us comprehend happiness, laughter, and humanity. Catherine O'Hara was more than just a comedian. She kindly, wisely, and impartially made them feel noticed. That is an uncommon gift, and it's one that will last. When Catherine O'Hara's remarkable life comes to an end, resonance rather than quiet is what's left. Her absence feels full rather than empty. Full of moments, full of memories, full of laughter that continues to reverberate in theaters, living rooms, and hearts all over the world. Immortality was not a goal for Catherine O'Hara. She quietly earned it by being dependable, considerate, and unwaveringly respectful of her profession. She demonstrated to us that humor could be passionate without being sentimental, clever without being cold, and ridiculous without being harsh. She served as a reminder of the value of moderation in a field that is frequently fixated on spectacle. She never put herself above the audience, which is why her loss seems so intimate. People were where she found them. Her characters were imperfect, insecure, and occasionally absurd, but they were always deserving of love. She allowed us to laugh at our own flaws without feeling guilty over them. Knowing that Catherine O'Hara never outgrew her interest is incredibly reassuring. She embraced achievement with humility rather than entitlement even later in life, when recognition finally caught up with her genius. She saw praise as a return of thanks rather than as confirmation. Her work became a haven for many. People turned to the stories she helped bring to life during uncertain times because they were honest, not because they were an escape. They served as a reminder that happiness frequently lurks in unexpected places, that family can be chosen, and that growth is possible. Her departure prompts us to consider not just what she accomplished, but also how she did it. She was an ego-free leader. She inspired without training. She demonstrated that integrity, not just novelty, is the foundation of longevity. Additionally, Catherine O'Hara leaves behind a more subdued legacy that alters careers rather than making headlines. Her example taught countless performers that it is possible to be revered without being aloof, respected without being afraid, and humorous without compromising nuance. Simply by fully and truthfully embracing the space, she broadened it for women in comedy. When grief strikes, it frequently brings with it regret, the wish that we had spoken up more, paid more attention, and shown more appreciation while the person was still here. However, there is also appreciation in Catherine O'Hara's situation. I'm grateful that she willingly shared her talent. I'm grateful that she remained loyal to herself. Gratitude that she allowed audiences to develop with her. She didn't vanish and burn brightly. Year after year, role after part, she continued to shine. And as people aged, that glow intensified rather than dimmed. As we bid her farewell, we are left with the reassuring knowledge that her work is still ongoing. Reruns, shared snippets, repeated lines, and the way comedy keeps evolving with more heart and less brutality are all examples of how it lives on. Laughter may be an act of love, as Catherine O'Hara famously demonstrated. We honor that gift by remembering her. Even though she is no longer among us, the warmth she left behind is still there. It is enduring, soft, and familiar. She never really leaves us in this way.